Hello and welcome, everybody. Good evening. It is January 6th, 6 p.m. PST, the only time zone that matters, and this is WatchHaus. I am your host for the evening, Brandon Thibbledork Padilla. Katrina is out for the week because she's been super busy doing big girl things, like having a job, which I don't know what that's like at all. I just run a talk show and 18 different Twitter accounts. Joining me tonight is producer, the guy who usually runs this show and this company and all the good stuff, Robert Haynes, way over, or down at the bottom. Sorry, I'm looking at Discord. And then to my left in the Twitch overlay is Connor Goopy Noopy Knudsen, right? Do you enunciate the K? Is it Knudsen?
I enunciate the K in Knudsen and in Kanoopy, so I say Goopy Kanoopy.
Okay.
Not many people probably say it that way, but
We've all got it now.
Yeah.
And we will definitely not get it wrong ever again.
Totally, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Man, has it been a busy 3 weeks at this point since we last show?
Yeah.
We took a little time off for the holidays and everything, but we're back, and boy, has it been ridiculous.
Things have imploded since. I think when WatchHaus isn't going, I just don't think the Overwatch community knows what to do. I think WatchHaus is what keeps. It's kind of like the epicenter. It's what keeps the foundation together.
You've got it exactly right. Yeah, we're like the binding force, and without us, it's just chaos. That makes total sense. Yeah, I've been. One person has been DMing me every 5 minutes for the past 2. That's not true. Nobody's actually done that. Please don't do that. No. Oh no. Val's just sent me pictures of his fists sometimes. He's like, I'm gonna punch you. I'm like, that's cool. But the Bears also lost, so he's probably in a ditch somewhere crying.
Let's not pick on Val tonight. Val's your
in our singular traditional sports cameo, we're gonna talk about the Bears for a moment. They just lost really hard off of it was a field goal kick, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Crossbar.
I haven't actually seen it, so I don't really know. I just know everybody was screaming about it. And that's generally how you
out. And it was after a super controversial call where the officials misunderstood how to reverse a call from an incomplete pass when it was actually fumbled, but not ruled a fumble on the field. If this sounds like gibberish to you, that's fine.
Rob, you were apparently muted, chat says. Good one. Unluckers, dude.
Rip. Rob just had some...
We're talking about traditional sports, but I think that's enough of that. We did that for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, Overwatch, video game that we enjoy. Hi, we can hear you.
Hi.
Let's reset our watches. That's a segment we do at the start of every show. Right. Connor, kick us off. What do you...
Yeah, so I had some articles come out again over the break ages ago. I don't even remember what they were, but that was a long time ago. They were great. I think I did a list of hero kits that I had theorized could be used from other games for this newest hero. I think I talked about Ice Climbers being one of them, Pyro for TF2 being an obvious choice there, and then a hero from League of Legends. I forget her name. I think it was Karma, maybe.
It was Karma. That's correct.
Okay, yeah, really cool. So that had an interview with Moopy come out today, actually, which I can link in the chat here in a bit. But it was really cool. Moopy is a player with a unique experience of having the word experience a lot there. Having experience with Skyfox's Second Wind and Mayhem Academy. He was there for a lot of the success of the original Skyfox's team, and then when they kind of switched philosophies to the kit they use for their trials run to this new several staff members added, several players added, former Overwatch League talent added, and then the subsequent fall, he kind of got out of there before a lot of that happened as well. So he had a lot of really cool insight in that interview. Other than that, just traveling home for the break, some stuff on the website for the Game Haus, and then that's pretty much it for me.
Solid. Rob, let's talk about what you've been up to, whatever you're allowed to talk to, because I know you're a secret corporate executive agent or whatever your title is or something.
I mean, I'm super secret corporate James Bond Rob.
Got it.
But in all honesty, just trying to keep us, moving on the right track, getting ready for some what should be pretty substantial news coming out in maybe 2 weeks, maybe less, that you guys both know about. And then, I've gotten back to writing a bit, actually. I have a super secret, well, I guess I'll kind of reveal it, anime piece coming out in the next day or two.
I remember that discussion.
So, I tried to get that done this week, but whew, I was busy. So, be on the lookout for that, people. I've been spending a lot of time. I even rewatched one of the shows just at my buddy's house on Friday, just to make sure that I was doing some of it right. So, I'll be excited to see that one go out there. I hope everybody likes it. If you don't, that's okay. But I'm gonna like it. It'll be fun.
Right there. I went and rewatched an anime to write a piece about
Dedication.
Yeah.
That's a first ever, maybe.
Hey, man.
I just don't watch anime, so.
Oh, yeah. Dude, there's so many.
Naruto was pretty good.
I wasn't even into anime that much, honestly, and then my sister showed me Full Metal Alchemist. That's the one I try to tell everybody. Start with Full Metal and go from there. But just know that that's going to be the best one you ever watch.
Is Pokemon an anime?
Technically, yeah.
Is it?
I've watched some anime then.
That and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, I've watched some anime then. Oh,
Avatar: The Last Airbender, an anime. That's like an entirely Western production, right? It's just an anime.
But there are people who claim that it is as close to anime as we will ever get as Americans made, at least.
Cool.
So,
in another off-topic tangent that we're just going to get to all night long, I consider Avatar: The Last Airbender to be one of the greatest television series ever.
Absolutely.
So, chat, go ahead and yell at me or agree with me or just talk about anime in general in chat, and I will be sure.
Kate wants to fight us over Avatar not.
Kate just wants to fight in general. We'll get to that. I suppose for my resetting my watch section, I put out a bunch of stuff. Actually, I was just on the tail end of my like 6 or 7 interview streak when we had our last WatchHaus.
1 point week.
I was in the middle of publishing interviews from everyone from 1 Point except for Hardest. I interviewed King, who is now with the Dogmen after leaving Sky Foxes, much like Moopy did. And now I just put out an interview today with Eng from Windstrike, who was awesome. Lots of fun to work with. Didn't speak much English, but we made it work. It was a great interview, super insightful, lots of great takes. He was like a world champion in a game called Point Blank in 2013, which looked really cool when I watched it, and he like clicked a lot of heads really well. So it makes a lot of sense now why he's been one of the more like consistent and long-standing Overwatch pros. So it was cool talking to him. I started a series called Watch Around the World, which is like teams or players in certain positions from every region of contenders that I think you should be keeping an eye on because they're cool, they have a good social media presence, they make big plays. Using a lot of my own footage from the Contenders OW account to supplement that because what's a little double dipping between friends? And also it's a useful resource. So that was just a lot of fun to kind of put those together and really think about like in all the playoff teams right now, who's the most interesting tank duo or the most interesting support duo in Korea, which is traditionally a very fertile ground for supports because you have to be good when you're going up against Korean DPS players and Korean tanks, and just being in Korea in general. So that series has been a lot of fun. I'm finishing that up. I think tomorrow I'm going to try to finish that up to have it out on like Wednesday or something. And then because this never stops, I also launched an open division team or helped launch an open division team called Triumph, who are currently 6-0, which is always nice. It's always nice to be on a winning team. I do social media stuff for them. I do not do the graphics. That is a guy named Anthony who does graphics for like, they're so good and they are not mine. So I put out that I was the social media guy for that team and they were like, your graphics are amazing. I'm like, no. That's not me at all.
The tweets are great too. The tweets are incredible.
The words. All the pictures are someone else.
Great words though.
So shout out to him.
Yeah. Top tier words.
Yeah, my words are all right. I do words good sometimes. And I think that's about it. I won't ramble because it's easy to. Let's move on to the news, the important stuff. Connor, what would you say the biggest news of this past week has been?
Um, outside of I don't know how else to say this. It's Ellie. For those of you who haven't heard about this or heard that name before, I don't know where you've been. Come out from under that rock that you've been living under. Um, we won't get too much into this. Even the words that we could use to describe this have been polarizing in the community. Whether we're going to use the word social experiment or just a guy being a jerk, or there's 100 different ways you could describe this. For now, we'll just say that this is a situation that really puts Second Wind out. They don't have a player going into the playoffs now that they thought they were going to have. If we're going to just talk about how it's going to affect the gameplay of NA contenders, that's really important. Blizzard made a statement that Dustin Steiner put in an article that would be worth reading. Second Wind has put out a statement about the situation. Slasher has leaked some news about it. There are a bunch of different resources that I would just encourage you to, there's a plethora of things right now to look at with this.
Including our own article, which just got linked from the
Yeah.
Game Haus, done by the excellent Kate Shepard. Just a general compilation of what's been going on. I mean, like Connor said, this is a developing story still. We know a great deal more than we did, and we've gotten a lot more official statements in the past couple of days, but this is not done, I guess, which is annoying because I would much rather it be over. I'm tired of it already. It sucked for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Most importantly, Second Wind, I suppose, from a gameplay standpoint at least, because I really enjoy Second Wind as a team. They have a great storyline, and I would much rather they be able to focus on the game than getting bamboozled like the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean it's so unfortunate for them because they go 4-0 and they're having this historic year. I mean it starts with that first game against Gladiators Legion where they just shocked everyone, beat them 3-2 in this incredible match. They're coming off a win against XL2. Then their best player gets poached for an academy team, which is in a sense great because that's the point of unsigned teams is to get their players elevated. You'd like to do that as a team, but for whatever, sometimes it's just individuals that go. And then this happens right after they announced it. It's fishy from the start, but it's just going into the playoffs and now having just lost to NRG as well. This is just really unfortunate for Second Wind. I mean the two biggest, I guess, losers of the situation are Second Wind and then just the community at large, and especially the female gaming community. I mean, this is it's going to just create higher walls and thicker barriers. So that's something that none of us want to see. We've talked about on this show several times before how we want more women in Overwatch League like Gigery and continue to blaze that trail. And this is just, one of those things that makes that more difficult. So at a baseline, that's kind of all I have on it, is just that it's unfortunate for that.
Yeah. Rob, any thoughts there?
I mean, how long do we have again?
All the time.
There's a lot. I mean, I know that we talked about it a little bit yesterday when we were talking, about the show, and I mean, the situation is more than unfortunate. It's unneeded, and in the sense of it hurt a community, like you guys said, that was, in my opinion, starting to really show itself. We've had more people apply to the Game Haus that identify as female than ever before. And I mean, we went through almost a year where I couldn't pay somebody who identified as female to come work with us in any capacity whatsoever. And now I know we have at least 4, maybe 5 just in our Overwatch crew that have all recently joined in the last 6 to 8 months. We obviously love and support them, and they kick ass every single day. So, oh my God, they're incredible. They are incredible. And to say that this was unfortunate, hopefully they will realize that, we obviously support them, and that I think that we're going to see, hopefully people take this as, let's just make ourselves stronger, right? Like, let's just be even better. Let's show everybody that we're not going to let this, derail them in any way, shape, or form. And that's what I'm hoping, at least. It's crazy when I get a call from Joe DeTulio is our vice president, our guy on sports, and when he calls me and he goes, dude, what's going on with this whole Ellie thing? That's when you know that there's something going on, because he tries to stay in his lane as much as possible, but when he has his friend who literally knows nothing about esports saying, "What's going on over there, dude?" And he calls me. It's for me at least, I know that it's far-reaching. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's been a really weird week, and I know everybody else is really tired of it. I know I already am, but I think it calls into question everything that's happening with Blizzard right now. Um, I'll give just my initial thought that Blizzard needs to get all this sort of stuff under control. With this going on, with the Toronto esports stuff that we were talking about, I think it was before the show as well. There's just too much that's not controllable right now. And if you want to develop a scene, you need to have players that are able to come up through the scene. So, for me, this is the point where Blizzard needs to realize we can't just ignore contenders anymore. We really need to, dig in and kind of make this what we've always intended it to be.
Yeah. It's what's interesting that I was going to bring up a little bit before that was that this is reaching like traditional news outlets and celebrities. Like Marisha Ray from Critical Role tweeted out, and many other projects. She's like a ridiculous workhorse that does a ton of stuff. She tweeted out a full thing about like this Ellie drama in Overwatch just makes it more difficult for women in any scene, any sort of tech or online scene, and especially esports, obviously. Lindsay Jones from Rooster Teeth, Aaron Zek from Rooster Teeth, like insanely popular figures with big followings were tweeting about this and hearing about it and looking at news sites like ours, but also like the Washington Post for stuff about this. So it's become a really big deal, and I'm hoping that Blizzard will see that and realize, like you said, like we need to make sure that we are in on this and that it's not just teams running amok. Not that Second Wind was running amok. There was a whole thing with that, but like making sure that we have a finger on the pulse on all steps of this process, because there were several steps they did not, and those steps are where this happened. So it's like you said, I think an increased involvement would definitely keep any of this from happening. A not more expedited background check process, because they're pretty quick about that, but being unable, like you shouldn't be able to feign existence as a woman and then say, in the interest of my privacy, please do not put me into the system. You gotta be in the system, dude. And that's gonna be a thing in the future as well. These female players will come in and like worry about this happening to them, being harassed. Are you even real? All these memes that have been getting thrown around, they will fear for their privacy, but at the same time, you have to submit to the system. The verification is the only thing that will get those monkeys off your back in the first place.
Yeah.
It's a terrible catch-22 to be caught in, and it's just all because of this. It's great.
Yeah. Well, and sorry, Connor, just real quickly, to add on to that point, to all those people who are questioning whether somebody can play, right? Let their actions speak for it, please. I mean, Gregory did it, right? I mean, she showed everybody. She played. I think I didn't know this until Kate's article, but she played with her camera on her hands to show that she's not, cheating. That she is as good as she looks to be. So, I mean, I'm embarrassed, that it has to be that way. But yeah, let's let them just play. And if they're good enough to play, then stop. Just let it be done at that point. I'm sorry. Just if this Ellie situation is really enough for people to get up in arms, I've followed Reddit a lot on this because I really wanted to make sure that I was as ingrained as possible into my understanding it before I put out my opinion about it. But it's just coming from places of ignorance. There's no other explanation for it. I mean, if I see that one of my best friends who I didn't even know played video games was Diamond 1 in League, I'd be a little skeptical. But that's just because I know him. And I would be like, hey, dude, like, let's see you play. And if he went out and played, I would never question him whatsoever again. So just let it be. Let people play and let them show how it goes. I'm sorry. It's like ball don't lie, right?
Situations, right. Like, and the thing is that situation, this exact Ellie situation, I suppose, like the beginnings of the Ellie situation happen every day in Open Division. Every day, players you've never heard of show up. I am a 4.2K Widow main player. I will hop into this open division game now, click all the heads and win the game.
Yep.
And everyone says, sure, great. Ellie shows up, admittedly at a higher level, but still says, I am a mid 4K flex DPS player. I will play the flex DPS heroes for this team. And suddenly that's an issue just because you don't know about this account. Like, Smurfs are kind of a big deal in this game. Like, and especially for women who don't want to have to deal with all the crap, like them making new accounts to avoid stuff like that is not unheard of. Yeah. But people just wanted to jump on the crazy theories. And that's left us with this mess. So in closing, just let women play. Just let them be. Just let them exist in the space, man. Like, not that anybody here really needs that lesson, because I figure we're all pretty good, just in general. But man, if anybody watching this, present or future, is really on the fence about like this situation, let me just tell you, just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's not your problem. Just let them go.
Yep.
Man, Contenders playoffs sure are kicking off right now, right?
Yeah.
Boy, howdy.
Wow.
What a segue that was.
Woo.
10 out of 10. Connor, let's talk about Contenders playoffs. I want to do NA last because I know that's your favorite and you've got a lot to talk about there. Yeah. Let's start with Korea. Because you have a little knowledge of Korea.
Yeah.
Let's see what you know. Tell me what's going on in Korea.
Let me pull up the bracket on the website real quick. My first thoughts are looking at the playoffs for Korea. Let's see. So, the first match was okay. So I'm more familiar with the bottom half of the bracket. We have Runaway versus Kungdu Panthera and GC Busan versus WGS. The Runaway 3-0 on Kungdu was pretty shocking to me, but it was also the most interesting match. These are two teams, for those who may not know, that met in the previous season finals, had a crazy, one of the best, maybe the best game of Overwatch ever played in the final. Runaway ends up winning, and that team is almost entirely picked up by Vancouver, and they now are the Vancouver Titans, whereas Kungdu Panthera is split between the Gladiators with Decay and Roar and Shanghai. Most of the players going to Shanghai.
With the rest,
so I think that's mostly right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
no, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
So then we have these two teams completely rebuilt outside of Flowervin for Runaway, and I think there's even new coaches for Kungdu Panthera. So totally rebuilt squads. They meet in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, and we really have no idea what to expect. I don't know if anyone expected Runaway to advance in that game, or if they're expected to advance the next game. They just continue to surprise and play incredibly well. So they won that one 3-0. And then I don't know a ton about WGS. I know GC Busan is an incredible team too. So for them to go down 3-2 was, to me, surprising. If that's inaccurate based on Korean Contenders history.
I'd say you're just about right on the barometer of WGS versus GC Busan, because throughout the season, GC Busan Wave were consistently excellent and one of the most flexible teams in the bracket. WGS were by no means bad, but they were thoroughly a middle of the pack team, right? Okay. Everybody expected GC Busan takes this, maybe gives Element Mystic a shot at that finals run. We'll see how that goes. Should be close. They've got players like Edison, who is just amazing, like one of the best players I think Korea has put out in the post Overwatch League era at Flex DPS. Yeah. But WGS just had the fire lit. They did their homework. It was very close the whole way through. The maps that every map pretty much was decided on one or two fights, maybe. Like they were all just really close. And GC Busan would clutch out. WGS would clutch right back and forth, you know? So nobody expected it to start to be that close right away. Like WGS took map 1, and that kind of threw everybody off balance. We were like, okay, we'll see. You know, GC Busan comes back from this, and they won map 2. And then WGS came right back on map 3, and so on and so forth. So I think it was just a matter of motivation and planning and training. WGS showed up. If they'll be able to do that against Element Mystic, that's a whole nother thing, because Element Mystic has consistently been one of the best teams in the region all year long and did not show any signs of slowing down in their match against Geekstar.
Yeah.
Which was brutal. Yeah. Really brutal. Because Sparky or Sparkle is like probably one of the best Doomfists in the world right now, and nobody really knows what to do against a good Doomfist yet, still.
And then I caught a little bit of the Stormquake MVP match where Kaiser just unbelievably popped off. I know enough about Korean contenders to know that he is someone to be watching and for us to have on our radar. So I don't know a lot about MVP space throughout the season, but based on the performance I saw from Kaiser and Stormquake, it didn't look like they were a great team. It looked like they were middle of the pack, but if that was an upset, I could be totally wrong because I didn't watch a lot of the regular season. But that to me makes Stormquake and Element Mystic a really interesting matchup. That being the semifinals along with Runaway and WGS. I would think it'll be Element Mystic and Runaway in the final, just because it's hard to bet against Runaway right now. But on the other hand, WGS did take down GC Busan, so I don't know.
WGS have suddenly become this team that you have to think about again, because everybody discounted them as a lower end of the middle of the pack sort of team, and then they turn around and do this to GC Busan Wave. Like, wait a minute, what's the real deal here? So looking at that game versus Element Mystic, there might be a couple more, but I don't think ultimately that will change too much. Runaway as well are Runaway. They're doing amazingly. But who knows? Runaway have a history of doing really, really well and then crashing and burning when it counts. Mm-hmm. Usually in the finals. Could happen in the semis. I don't think it will. I really don't want it to because I'm a Runaway fan. But man, with Runaway, you always have to kind of
got to hold your breath.
Double check. Just make sure. Like, are we good? Are we really good? What I think would be really cool is if Stormquake upsets Element Mystic and then plays against Runaway in the finals, because Kaiser's first big team where he first made a name for himself was Runaway.
Okay, I didn't know
the Eye of the Kaiser smash on Eichenwald that Monty and Doa casted 2 years ago now at this point, a year and a half ago, that was Kaiser on Runaway. So for him to meet his old team, that's like a battle. Like, who's got more magic on their side right now? Like, the king of Runaway or the new Runaway? That's the storyline I wouldn't mind seeing, but at the same time, Element Mystic versus Runaway would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's Korea.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go. Someone said Europe. I believe Kate said Europe, so we'll talk about them.
Okay.
I'll make this one a little short, only because we could talk about this for years. Europe is one of the most competitive regions in the world right now.
Yeah.
And they are all really good at what's good right now, which is goats.
Yeah.
Every single team can perform any sort of goats comp variant at a world-class level. And it's going to boil down to some ridiculously close matches, I hope. Keep an eye on 1 point. I'm not biased. Windstrike potentially. Angry Titans potentially. The only teams I would maybe rule out as like they're probably just one and dones are HSL and maybe British Hurricane. But even then, they've both got their moments. So any team in this top 8 could just decide to show up or decide not to show up and really disappoint some people. So watch European contenders. The region is ridiculous in general.
In particular, I think you're right. I think matches to watch that first week. I think Giganti and Hurricane will be an incredible match. Those are two teams I would say that are right on the same tier. But Giganti's looked really good though, so I think it'd be an upset if Hurricane took that one. And then I would expect we're going to see Morning Stars and Angry Titans maybe in the semis. That one and Angry Titans and Windstrike is a toss-up too, but Morning Stars has looked so good. I've only gotten a chance to watch a few of their matches, but everyone I've watched has been just incredible. So I would love to see a Giganti Morning Stars final, but that's just me.
That'd be cool. A thing to note too, Giganti versus British Hurricane is also an ex-Overwatch League rematch. Numlock versus Zupe and Zappis, all the Z's.
Yeah.
So like I don't think they got too much playtime together because Numlock never got to play, which he talked about on a separate podcast. But like, just in general, that'll be a storyline to watch. These guys were both, or all three of them were in the Overwatch League at some point. It'll be interesting to see how they've developed. Like you said, the bottom half of the bracket with Windstrike and Angry Titans and everything is a toss-up. Yeah. But if there was anyone to put money behind right now, it'd be Morningstars. Because like you said, every game they've played has been monstrous. Yeah. Including their 3-2 win against Gigantian week 1, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, that was
and would make for a great finals rematch as well. Who knows, though? The top half of the bracket is ridiculous. 1 Point has consistently been one of the best teams, but had a little stumbling block in week 5. I don't know. You know, they just got to hammer it out. It's mental. It's gameplay. It's make sure you do your homework. Make sure you practice. Make sure you eat your vegetables and your Wheaties and whatever they eat over there, man. I don't know. Half of them are French, so like make sure you get your croissants. Yeah, the same deal.
Some Nutella if they're not allergic to it.
Ooh, yeah,
that could be good.
Dude, they eat a lot of Nutella. I don't know if you've ever been to Europe, but it's everywhere.
I would say as a transitionary point, we could talk about Australian contenders, but that's it's kind of just Sydney Drop Bears. I mean,
really is.
That's kind of all there is to talk about. We could just say that and close the book almost. Like
it's.
Will they be the Sydney team next year? If they expand?
If anybody's gonna be, it'll be them.
Yeah.
If anybody would, I think you could make an impressive Australian super team right now, and it would. The backbone would be the current Sydney Drop Bears roster.
Throw Maid in the head coaching job here, man.
Ooh. Oh,
dirty.
That's such a good idea.
I think
would
be pushing for it now.
Brutal team.
Dirty.
That would be unbelievably good.
Yeah.
I would be really hyped to watch that team. Maybe swap like Bertlog for Custa.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Holy
imagine
he would love to go back
that could happen?
Should we start the hashtag campaign?
If Soon went to Paris, you don't think Custa would go back to the homeland? Like
exactly.
That would be ridiculous. So, yeah, Australian Overwatch is definitely hot right now, but man, it is all about the Drop Bears. I will say Heist has had a really good season and some amazing individual performers, which I've talked about in both the tanks and the support sections. I actually listed Heist's players over the Drop Bears. Not because I don't think the Drop Bears are the best team in the region, because they absolutely are, and all their players are easily top 1, top 2 in each of their roles. But like Heist have had some really clutch moments, and that's led to a 4-1 season and a quarterfinals win against Blank. So keep an eye on them. Order have also been doing really well. They play tomorrow, but I mean, Drop Bears.
They're just too good.
Drop Bears are so good.
Well, I mean, that's the region that's always forgotten about in every esport. Honestly, in every esport. Like, I would not be surprised to see a couple of them, especially from Drop Bears, get picked up midway through the season, like before.
And we're starting to see that right now as well, with like Boston and Uprising Academy signing these Australian players over. You've got like a little cross-regional play going on, and that's pretty good. I messaged Chronodota because their game took literally 30 minutes, and I was like, great, he's got some free time. Let's put him on the show. That'd be fun. He just finished his game. He messaged me like 5 minutes ago now and was like, sorry, I'm on a flight to Australia right now. So he is prepping for playoffs. The Drop Bears are not messing around.
That's awesome.
There's some spicy exclusive info for you. Chronodota is headed down under
on a plane,
and he is going to melt as soon as he hits Australia because it's hot. But then he's going to play the game, and that's going to be really cool to see. So watch Australia. Like, honestly, really good. Or at least watch the Drop Bears, man. Like, some of the best Overwatch in the world right now.
They're on a historic run. I mean, you just have to watch it just for the historicity of it. Just to have watched a team that is as dominant as this team, I think is important if you're going to be someone who talks about Overwatch or writes about it or whatever. Just good to have that knowledge of Sydney. They look really, really good. So
they haven't lost a game or a map since March 23rd.
Wow.
Put that out there. And that was the only one they lost all of 2018 and a good portion of 2017 too. Like, statistically, this team has been one of the most impressive we've ever seen. Like, watch the Drop Bears. Oh my God.
I mean, what do they
speaking
have to
of,
do? Go fight kangaroos?
Pretty much. Yeah, that's the only thing they can do at this point is just become a kangaroo fighting ring. Sure. Speaking of ridiculously good teams that really need to get noticed already, let's talk about South America.
Let's do it.
South America has one of the only regions that has two 5-0 teams, which is Base Tryhards and LFT Owl.
Hilarious, by the way.
Right? Yeah,
Great
which
name.
is already like their existence is like, hey,
Yeah, literally exists just to do
pay
that.
attention to us. Hey, hello.
Genius.
They
Genius.
LFT Owl most notably has Olay, who I interviewed back when he played for Team Brazil in the World Cup. But the tank line is ridiculous for LFT Owl. They've got Fasty, who is really, really good. But at the same time, Base Tryhards, who used to be BGH, have not lost a step, despite losing Klaus. You know, like these guys. Oh, and Alamong. They were replaced with Wings and Lubbock. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one right. But despite the replacements, Base Tryhards are perfect, much like the Drop Bears. So in a sense, for South America, we could say the same thing, like just watch Base Tryhards, but there's another 5-0 team and there's two more 4-1 teams. This region is ridiculous. So watch Isurus, watch Sukinho Nation, watch Base Tryhards, watch LFTL.
Yeah. And you have to imagine that we're going to see an LFTL Base Tryhards final, which I think that's what we're all hoping for. But if we do, that would be another match that you would just have to watch. If you're a fan of the game or if you just enjoy watching good Overwatch, that's just going to be a good game. There's no way it wouldn't be, I would think, unless unless players get poached before then, which seems unlikely. So I would bet that would be a really good match if it does happen. Either way, still a good region to pay attention to. And that's another region like Australia that hasn't really, to my knowledge, ever had an esport to really rally around as a region. So
CS:GO.
it'd be
CS:GO.
I was going to say, yeah, their CS:GO, their community around CS:GO has been really, really good, but Overwatch has quickly risen to a level I don't think many people predicted.
No, I would have told you that Overwatch would be one of the last ones because they've struggled in League for so long. They've struggled in Dota, I want to say, as well. So I think they've been okay at Call of Duty, but CS:GO is MIBR is unbelievable. I mean, or at least they were. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that they're still pretty damn good.
But all that to say, another good region to bolster Overwatch's presence in. When regions can rally around a game like that, you'll see really good talent start to arise from places you wouldn't expect. So, hoping for that to happen in Australia and South America for sure.
Connor, who are we talking about next? Pick a region.
I don't know.
We've got Pacific. We've got China.
I can't talk much about Pacific other than Kefri, but I can talk about China a little bit.
Let's go. Yeah.
So it's T1 Esports is the crazy team, right? Yeah.
Another perfect squad.
Yeah. I think it was Volamel tweeted a long time ago with his predictions, and he just had them, just rolling over everyone. And I had to pull him aside and be like, why is this team so good? Like, what's going on? And he kind of educated me on them. And they are, just an unbelievable team, extremely innovative. To me, they're in the semifinals right now. They play LGD in the semifinals. Surprisingly, every quarterfinals match in China was a sweep, which I didn't know until 30 seconds ago, but that's pretty crazy.
I kind of figured that one was going to happen because, man,
it seems top heavy.
The split, exactly, right. You've got, this is another region with two 5-0 teams, T1W and Flag Gaming, a couple more 4-1s on top of that. It was kind of easy to predict for China, but after that, it's going to start getting a little muddier. I think T1W, like the Drop Bears and Base Tryhards, they're one of the big three that you must watch. But Flag Gaming, 5-0 is a 5-0, man. These guys are good too. LGD, also amazing. Team CC, the Shanghai Academy team. It's got MG, who used to play for Shanghai as well, who's gotten good again. Some good teams to watch here. And they're broadcast by none other than broadcast.gg. Friends of the show, who we had on in a couple different capacities before.
Is it Kenobi and Vals that does a lot of their stuff? Is that who?
A lot of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then other really casters include Katrina only did South America, I believe. I don't think she did China.
Yeah.
Geometric does a lot of hosting for China. And then Volamel's on there as well. Scribe, lots of great talent really keeping an eye on China, which means you guys should be keeping an eye on China.
With 4
I'll talk about Pacific. Yeah, and,
That's
and
also
with
true.
4 Overwatch League
Yeah.
teams, right? Like
Yeah.
when we start seeing, like in 2019, you could see 4 new academy teams easily spring up in China that would be filled with some of the best talent in the league,
If they do
and
another
who could then be
expansion,
signed up in mid-season, which is going to be ridiculous. So you should know who you're talking about before we start hitting that point and you start seeing these guys, because that'll happen for sure.
Yeah, definitely a region to stay on top of if you're unfamiliar with it. Yeah, I mean, 4 Overwatch League teams, that's where a lot of resources have to be allocated. That's where a lot of the viewership comes from. If you're not familiar, there's a heavy Chinese viewership that's outside of Twitch for Overwatch League, and that, like we wish Blizzard would know, the foundation of that is the T2 scene and contenders. So a lot of attention has to be paid to that region, undoubtedly.
That's right.
So.
well, and if they do any more expansions, you're kidding yourself if you don't think China gets another team. You're
Yeah,
kidding yourself.
definitely.
Like seriously.
I think this next year we'll see
I would
more
see
than a
none.
couple European teams, hopefully.
Mhm.
I'm
Like,
expecting none. I'm gonna be
I
honest. I think they're
really
gonna take a
want
full year off.
some.
Really?
I don't know.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
tough.
that's
Maybe
also
that's
true
tough.
too. There
Right.
could just be no expansion teams because they're working on geolocation.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I
who
mean,
knows?
money's
I would
money.
love to see tons of growth, but really, like, is that sustainable and all that?
Well,
Like,
and
you got
they've
to
got
worry
to
about.
figure out like global league wise too. I mean, every other traditional sport has about 30 to 32 teams,
I
and
was gonna
we're
say
already
32.
at 20. So you got to really. I saw somebody. I think it was on the Overwatch League subreddit. Somebody put out a 40 team league, I believe.
That's a little much. Ooh.
I thought so too, but he covered basically every major region had at least 2 teams, and I think that it looked okay.
Well, like, sure, you could slap teams all over the place. You could put teams in
Yeah,
all these places we were talking about for prospective spots before we knew these final 8, right? Like Berlin, Switzerland, Spain, Portugal, Chicago,
Tokyo. I still
Tokyo,
think Tokyo.
everywhere in
People told me I
Japan.
was dumb, but I still think Tokyo's good.
Korea could have 4 more teams and we'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, there's so much room
Well,
for growth, but will that be sustainable?
but that's where contenders comes in. Sorry, I don't want to hijack this, but
No,
one real
dude.
quick point to this is that's where contenders comes in. Like people forget a lot of traditional. Sorry, this is where for those of you who don't know, this is where my semi expertise comes in. Is comparing it all to traditional sports, where traditional sports makes up for the regions that they don't have their major league teams in, is where they put their minor league teams or their G League teams or whatever, you know, next level league teams that they have are. I honestly think the Overwatch League needs to stop at 30 ish, and then every other major city that you want to have a team in, you make it a feeder team. Seriously, I mean, why
I can see that.
wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Just
Gives
saying.
them smaller scale opportunities for geo expansion and things like that.
Exactly, and I mean that's how they've done it in the past too. And then teams that have struggled after 5 years, you potentially relocate to other cities. Maybe 10
fair.
years, but
I wonder which is going to be the first out of the current 20 Overwatch League teams, which will be the first to change.
one of the Chinese teams, guaranteed. That would be my
Oh,
first.
so okay.
Really?
That or an LA team. Sorry,
I was
LA.
gonna say an LA team. Possibly.
Will they go to Oakland or Vegas?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think Vegas gets one. If
Vegas
the
will.
I think
Raiders
Vegas
stay
gets
this
one for
way,
sure as
yeah.
well. There's just too much money. There's too much of an
Yeah.
aesthetic.
I think
I'm
if,
sure
if
they'll
you-
come up with a name that's actually like a concept, like Valiant or
something.
Eternal.
Yeah.
Justice.
I think
Justice.
I'm going to tell
Triumph.
you right now, if Chengdu struggles for the first 3 to 5 years, they will be on the hot seat for getting their team relocated very quickly.
I wonder if any team will we ever see a Browns?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's gotta happen statistically, right? Like some
Mhm.
team is just gonna suck for 8.
Yeah.
Well,
They just.
That's gonna
Yeah.
be rough.
it's
It
going
would just have to be a
interesting.
systematic, misallocation of resources. It would have to just be a poor understanding of how to build a good team. I mean, it's
But we're
like
gonna
if
hit that
Shanghai
point, right?
their
The more
last
teams
structure
we get,
moving ahead, it'd be like that
Well,
kind of.
yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't even seen in any esport yet, in my opinion at least, maybe CS:GO, where all the talent is available and out there. Like there are secret pockets of talent all around the world that haven't even been touched yet for Overwatch. When Overwatch becomes more of a spectator sport than a playing sport at a certain level, though, and once the whole system has been set up from high school to college to contenders to maybe open division to contenders, I don't know, then to the Overwatch League.
Sure.
Like, I've always envisioned Overwatch League being very much like baseball in the terms of talent, where there's going to be multiple levels that are established that are all connected to one organization where everybody can move up and go through them. That's how I've always envisioned it. I could be wrong, but that's what I think will eventually happen. Thus, when a team drafts poorly, which I would love to see a draft one day, just saying, that would be freaking awesome. League of Legends just did it, but I think once a draft is established, once all the talent is known from high school up, I think that's when you'll start to see one team eventually start to make multiple mistakes, and then they sell out, or they're moguls and they just prefer money and they sell their team to another city because the other city wants it more.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Really
Interesting
interesting
stuff.
to think about those parallels starting to be drawn. Like, we're in the formative stages of what may become something like that. Oh man, future.
I love it so much.
Future planning. I don't even know what I'm eating for breakfast tomorrow. I don't want to think about 20 years from now. What I do want to talk about is the Pacific region,
Sorry.
which not many
Thought we were
people
gonna get to
care
dodge
about,
that.
but really they should. Kefri obviously has really jump-started the region this season because he exists and because he is a popular polarizing figure, whatever you want to call him. He gets some flashy plays. He's on a team. He's doing what everybody has told him to do for so long, like actually grind and like do the thing. Don't just ask for tryouts or whatever. I try not to keep too much track of that stuff, but he's out there doing his thing. And Global Esports Pantheon is now 4-1. So like, you can't say it hasn't been working. He has been pretty important to their strategy, which usually involves, is this a Widow map? Let's put him in.
Yep.
They know he's Widow. Are they going to be able to do anything about it? Usually.
Yeah.
This is another top-heavy region for sure. We've got a perfect team, Talon Esports. We've got a couple 4-1s in Xavier Esports and Hong Kong Attitude, which are both really fun teams to watch. And this region in general just doesn't care about the meta. Like, you'll see goats, but like then you lose a team fight and you're like, what if we go 3 DPS? What if we go Widow Symmetra?
Yeah.
What if we go Wrecking Ball Dive? You know, like these guys just throw stuff out there and it's so much fun. Like, it's never anything you expect to see if you've only been watching like North America, Europe, and Korea, which are the big three. But the beauty in that is that you'll be surprised every time. It just sucks for us North American folks because those games play at like 1 a.m., 3 a.m. It's not great. Many a long night for me has been spent contemplating how I could do Pacific coverage for Contenders OW, and half the time I can't because I am human and I'm asleep. But watching the VODs, which is what I do instead, is ridiculously fun. So keep an eye on Pacific Contenders. Talon Esports, I think, will definitely take this again. Xavier Esports they've got a shot, I think, because they've got Patipan, who has ridiculous clutch potential on a variety of heroes. And Global Esports as well, frankly, might have a shot. They've got a tougher run of it through the bracket. They're going to play Nova and then run into Talon Esports if they make the semis. But if they can pull some crazy things off, we could see an upset and a finals appearance. And if they go up against like Xavier or Hong Kong or even like Grandeur, if they decide to pull something crazy, that could be pretty fun. So watch Pacific if you want to know what it's like when people just don't play goats, when they just gentlemen's agree to not play goats, like, because that's basically this region in a nutshell, and it's fun, so much fun.
Yeah, I think this region is actually pretty useful when you're thinking about just as a region itself. This is almost just like a sandbox for new Overwatch theories. So you have to imagine because of that, Overwatch, maybe not Overwatch League, but at least like NA, Korean contenders, maybe using this as a way to scout, methods and other strategies that they don't have time to practice. Because with goats, you have to pour so much time into perfecting it and getting the minute things right that You don't have a lot of time to mess around with these different strategies and to throw Kefri on Widowmaker. So this is just a good thing, I think, to watch for teams, maybe even open division teams just looking to kind of try and switch things up and surprise their opponent on maps. So definitely a useful region to watch. It is really inaccessible. But yeah, I think I agree it's important. I haven't watched a ton of it though, unfortunately. So I need to eat my own words and do that too. So
it's tough. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I spend a lot of time catching up on contenders because I can only watch so much contenders, and most of my catch up is in Pacific because, like I said, just the time zone is so infeasible for us. But like, if you live in Europe, or I've got friends who live in South America or South Africa, like, your time zone's a little more friendly. Make sure you're showing Pacific some love. They have a great casting set as well. The casters in Pacific are honestly really, really good. So shout out to them. Shout out to like Avril and Pixie on the mic and guys like that who just do a great job consistently for a region that really needs the love.
Yeah.
Have we hit 6?
That's
Australia, China, Korea, Europe, Pacific.
It's all of them except for old NA.
There it
Okay.
is.
North America. Connor, do you think? This is all you.
All right. Well, this is a super interesting one. We look at week 5. It was kind of culminating to where it looked like, Fusion University or Atlanta was going to be coming into the playoffs undefeated. It turns out that's going to be Fusion after they 4-0'd Atlanta. I don't know what happened to there. Atlanta looked like a completely different team in that match. There's no tinfoil hats on yet, but what if they were sandbagging? What if Atlanta was sandbagging to hide strats? That seems a little far-fetched. It seems like they would have wanted to win that game. So probably not that. Then, you have XL2 beating the Gladiators 3-1 in week 5 to knock them out of the playoffs subsequently after Envy's 4-0 and NRG's win. So week 5 was crazy. Yeah, and I just mentioned briefly NRG beat Second Wind, which was their first loss of the season as well. So that sets up a playoffs bracket that's super interesting. So I don't know if we want to kind of look at each matchup or what, but
Sure, yeah. I was just gonna say, it's so interesting that week, like, we didn't have a full picture until the last game ended. And it wasn't even necessarily for the teams involved. It was for other teams too, right? Like, it was really like the region was so close that you had to worry about, like, well, if this team wants to get in, this other team is going to have to lose or win by that much and things like that. Like, Envy getting in was contingent on the performance of Gladiators Legion and things like that. We haven't seen many regions where it's been that close. So it definitely speaks to the quality of the playoff bracket that we're about to see right now.
Yeah, and a super important match on that same note is First Gen Uprising Academy in week 5. First Gen beats Uprising Academy in that game, which is super important because that means that First Gen gets to play Second Wind and Uprising Academy has to play XL2. And that is unfortunate because it seems like
gets to versus has to, though. Like, XL2 and Second Wind are both ridiculously scary teams. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know which I would take over the other right now.
See, I'd love to play Second Wind right now. That's just with everything going on.
That's a good point. Yeah,
XL2 is just too consistent.
I think it's going to be a matter. This region will be decided by the mental game.
Yeah,
which I think is really fun. Like, and partially not fun because you have to worry about, like, will Second Wind underperform because of the drama rather than like just being outplayed, which you don't really generally want to see. Yeah. Like, nobody liked when Dallas was getting their ass beat because everything was falling apart. Yeah. Right. If they lost, they wanted to see them. If you wanted to see Dallas lose, you wanted to see them lose because your team was better, not because they were a dumpster fire. Right. I don't want to see Second Wind crash and burn because they're worried about getting bamboozled and having to deal with the Blizzard investigation. I would want to see First Gen honestly pull it out, like show us something cool. And they can, I know they can. Absolutely. But I'm hoping it's more of that than like, oh God, Second Wind is just still crying in a corner over there and you just walked on the point and took it. Like, that's my take on it, at least.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, that's going to be thrown around. If First Gen does beat Second Wind, that will be a lot of the speculation is how much did all this stuff play into it. And that's unfortunate for First Gen because if you take that win, you're beating a 4-1 team that beat XL2 earlier in the year. You deserve a lot of props. And they've got some really good players in that team. Naga is incredible. The whole team is just so good for First Gen and Second Wind. But On the opposite end of the spectrum, two teams that are playing really well right now are Fusion University and Envy, the top kind of matchup. Envy struggled early in the year going 0-3 and then have won their last 2 games. One of those being against Sky Foxes, so there's kind of a little bit of an asterisk.
I was going to say, can we really say that Envy has been playing well this season?
Yeah.
They're right on the fence. And against Fusion Uni.
And so they've got the toughest road by far of any team.
Yeah.
It would seem like Envy has to go through Fusion Uni. Then they have to beat the winner of First Gen Second Wind, then probably play XL2 or ATL. Like that's a gauntlet.
Stacked line all the way through. I don't think they can do it. I love Envy. I'm a Dallas fan. Of course, I love Envy. This team has historically been one of the greats, like in the pre-Owl era.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, they stumbled through this season. They barely made it in as is. Going up against the 2-time champions, an upset would be amazing.
It'd be crazy.
What an upset that would be. Probably the biggest upset of any region except the ones with the super teams. Like if Drop Bears, T1W, or Base Tryhards were to lose. But Fusion Uni are equal to those 3 teams, given the consistency of their performance and everything and the depth of their talent, right? Having Elk, Snillo, Alarm, that's
they're stacked.
Team to go up against, man. It's going to be – I would love for Envy to see it out and, win, but –
Yeah. I think 2019 is Envy's year, and I also think it's a good chance that it's Uprising Academy's year. So Uprising Academy on the bottom of the bracket has to go up against XL2 to start things off. XL2, unbelievably consistent team, only dropping a match to Second Wind, 3-2, super close. And Uprising has had flashes as well. And they're clearly a talented team. They have fusions and is Klaus. That's, and I mean, Iostuck's being their coach. They're clearly a stacked team. It seems like with them and Envy, they just haven't had time to pick up the pieces and really develop as a team, or maybe just aren't as GOATS friendly as a team. So I think 2019 could be favorable for those two teams, but you have to expect XL2 to advance again. Uprising Academy has an extremely tough road. You'd have to beat XL2, ATL most likely, and then probably Fusion Uni the finals, which would be
and the thing is that making it into semis with ATL most likely advancing is by no means a guarantee of success. I will say that Klaus recently made it to North America, as far as I've heard, so he'll be playing on good ping for once. But then at the same time, you've got Punk, who I believe is still in Australia, and Fusions, who I've heard has been dealing with visa issues and is stuck in the UK. Those guys are playing on minimum 200 ping. You said, I think next season is Uprising season, because when those guys are all playing together on 30 ping instead of 300, that team will be ridiculous. But Fusion's one of the best main tanks in the world, I think, right now after that World Cup performance. But on 200 ping, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, man? They posted somebody posted a clip of an Envy scrim. I think it might have been Crimzo. And it was just, it was Trill, I think, just walking into a wall on Hollywood and being stuck on the wall. And that's happening to Fusions too, which is rough, really rough. If they can overcome that, I think that would be really cool to see. But then, like you said, making it in semis, they're going to have to face off against the winner of our last matchup, which is
ATL and NRG. So, ATL is a team that has looked dominant all year, as we've kind of watched. We thought that, I mean, they were not a lot of their games were close. I think they only dropped 2 maps or something. I don't have it on hand, but they just got floored against Fusion University. It was not close, 4-0 sweep. And then you have NRG, who is flipping back and forth between getting swept and then they win. Then they get swept and then they win. And last week was a win, so maybe they're going to get swept this week if history repeats itself. But overall, NRG, to me, has been the toughest team to pin down, toughest team to scout and get a sense of where they're truly at, just because they've looked so good and just so dismal. But in the same breath, if you're going to give NRG a chance, you could say that ATL is kind of in the same boat. I mean, they looked really good all year and looked really bad last week. So maybe consistency issues for both teams, could be a coin flip. I don't know.
It's, as you said, both of these teams have suddenly or been consistently very difficult to really get a bead on. Can NRG's win be chalked up to second win struggling with the drama, which we already talked about? Can ATL's loss be chalked up to anything besides getting outplayed by Fusion University? Or is Fusion University just that good and will just beat the crap out of anybody? Probably. So we entered this matchup with like kind of a 50-50 split. I would love for this to be a really close game. I'm going to be a little biased and say ATL probably turns it around again this week. I don't think NRG is on a Fusion Uni level. I think ATL are going to be mad, spitting mad. They do not want that to ever happen again. Those guys were crushed. I talked to a couple of those players, and I've seen a lot of them lose in a lot of really impressive ways, and that loss lit something. They I never want that to happen again. Some of them were saying, and they have the power now to execute on that. They are most of them are on the best team they've ever been on, right? Like Gator is coming from Goats, who was that team was extraordinarily dominant until they hit Contenders Trials. Ajax has been on NRG, and when he was on NRG, that team struggled. Dogman as well has had his share of interesting teams to be on. Hawk traveled his way through Open Division, but was pulled from those teams for much greener pastures. They will never have a better chance to be able to execute on, I don't want to lose again, than right now. So I think they're going to come into this matchup spitting and just destroy. I think the motivation is going to be there so hard. They want that rematch. Their coaches know this and will use that and train and practice and fight. And that's going to be really cool to watch because I like last night's leftovers last season. And a good portion of that team is now here. So I'm excited for that matchup for sure.
And we just want to see ATL XL2. That would be a great game. The top half of the bracket is a little bit more polarizing, I guess. Maybe if you think about just Fusion Uni is probably going to win out. There's some possibilities for something else happening, but that's the most likely thing. But you really don't know in the bottom half. It could be XL2, ATL, something else could happen. But
chat is asking for our prediction from second win versus first gen. What did we decide?
I think you guys went first gen, I thought.
I think second win's going to win. I think first gen has an incredible chance. I think it'll go to 5 maps. I think what's going to happen is first gen's going to come out and win the first map or two, while second win kind of, catches their breath, gets it together, and this could be totally wrong. But
finds their second win.
Finds their second win is where I'm going with this, and they get their second win and they win in a reverse sweep. So that's my prediction. But
I don't know. I love second wind, and I would love to predict them. But the weaknesses they showed last week against NRG, who I don't consider to be that great a team overall, Taponzor need to just spend some time reestablishing their shot calls, because there were a lot of missed ults, a lot of uncoordinated, just get dumpstered on, spawn camped on Route 66, nonsense moments. And I think the leadership really needs to step up. I think they can do that. I think if anybody's going to develop that in a short period of time, it's someone like Made, who's been doing it since he joined the team. But I think ultimately Karkar was an Overwatch League level, or at least Academy level talent, who is now gone. So they had that amazing level of leadership in game, and now they don't. Taponzor has done middlingly well in Open Division. I followed him in a few of his games, analyzed a few of his games. He does well, but I can't say it's an upgrade or even a vertical, or a horizontal move from Karkar, So they need to make sure they've spent the time developing him, bringing him up to a level of comfort and capability with the rest of the team. Otherwise, they will continue to struggle and lose to teams that many might consider inferior. So if they can make that happen, second wind's got this. And if anybody's going to be able to, it's second wind. But at the same time, they've never faced anything remotely close to what they're facing right now. Few teams ever in the history of Overwatch have faced what they're facing right now. So if ever first gen were going to step up, bring it home, and do it, it'd be this week.
Yeah.
This goes to 5 maps, but it could be either way. I don't think I can call this.
Yeah. The only thing that I can hope it'd be akin to is we look at Boston and their start to Overwatch League Season 1 with Dream Casper, and then coming out in Stage 3 and just going off. And so, this isn't comparable to Dream Casper and really anyway. I mean, it's totally different. He committed a crime, but I mean, this is still a chance for Second Wind to rise from that and really, really do something impressive. I mean, no one would have guessed that Boston would have done that in Stage 3. No one would guess that Second Wind would go to the finals this year. So maybe we would all love to see that. I mean, that would be incredible.
Yeah, that galvanizing moment would be such a storyline.
Yeah.
Everyone would love to see it after the fact, having seen what they've gone through now. It's just a matter of if they'll be able to execute. So we'll see.
For sure.
Wow, it's 7:06. That's all of them, right?
We did a lot of good things.
Yeah, very nice.
Cool.
Gave the people what they wanted.
Yeah, I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
So thanks for everybody sticking around, listening to us jibber jabber about the various contenders regions. Go watch contenders all the time. I have like a spreadsheet with all the contenders matches, and they go on every day for like the next 2 weeks. So you guys will never be without content. For all the people who are like, I miss Overwatch, there's no Overwatch to watch, you're not paying attention.
Exactly.
If you haven't been paying attention, you should start. Hopefully this episode will help you with that, give you some starting points. My Watch Around the World series will also help you with that for teams and players to watch that I think are going to be doing really well. Obviously, we just discussed at length teams in North America and a variety of regions that we think will make for some interesting games, some really amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you guys go out, watch more contenders, things of that nature. But as for the future, for like our next few episodes, we're approaching Owl 2019, Owl Season 2, whatever we're supposed to officially call it. I don't know. Connor, what are our plans for these next few episodes? What do we want to do?
We've got some awesome plans. Thank you for asking. So the next 4 shows in particular, we're going to go through and break down 5 teams an episode. We're just going to go alphabetically through Atlantic and Pacific divisions and go through, the players, maybe even talk a little bit of branding if we want to, overall ranking and just other things to note, off-season storylines, and just kind of as a 4-episode primer for anyone who is wanting to get into the Overwatch League, who watched it last year and is coming back and maybe unfamiliar with some of the roster changes or expansion teams or anything like that. We just want to kind of give you the lowdown. We're hopefully going to bring in some experts from here at TGH and maybe elsewhere, who knows, to talk about some of these teams with us. It's going to be awesome. So definitely be back. Those will be for the next 4 weeks. So get stoked for that.
My message to anybody watching right now in chat, so obviously we have an impressive stable of writers and content creators to pull from who are experts or rapidly approaching that status for a variety of these teams that we're going to talk about, like Norchetto, for instance, who is like the Atlanta Reign guy. He's probably going to be on next week, which is going to be awesome. But what would be more awesome is if we could get some Overwatch League players in here to talk about their own teams and what they think of the other teams or anything like that. So if you want to see a particular player on this show, let them know. Say like, hey, go be on WatchHaus. Talk to them on Twitter, whatever. I'm going to be trying that too, because like that's kind of my job, is to talk to these guys and like see if they'll come on the show. But if they see like their fans, because that's what you guys are, like, hey, go be on the show. That would be so cool. Yada, yada. We want to see you like talk about the team and what you think and how the team is doing and stuff. That's going to make my job a lot easier. And then you get to see Overwatch League players talking like
we all win.
about their teams. Yeah. And I'll make
there's
them
no
trash talk.
loss. They gain new fans. Come on.
Right. I'll just make them talk so much smack about everybody else. That's what I want to do. It'd be awesome. So let's make that happen. Lots of preview stuff coming. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page going into the Overwatch League. So you guys will be like informed, awesome content expert dudes, stuff like that. I do words for a living. So just keep an eye on us. We'll be back next Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern.
7 Mountain.
2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time.
That's an important one,
slash
actually.
Central European Standard Time. So yeah, there you go. Now you know. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for enjoying the things we do. Keep an eye on us. I am on Twitter at Thibbledork. You'll see these here in the overlay. Excuse me. So go follow us on Twitter because we'll keep you in the loop about all the good stuff. So from our house to yours. Thanks very much and good night.
Good night.
If you liked that, hit the subscribe button for more interviews and other great sports and esports content. Make sure to also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on all the news from your favorite sports and esports players and teams. From our house to yours.